I read a story one time about a layman that they were having a $60,000 building fundraising program in their church, and he came to the pastor during the morning service and told the pastor and the church that I want to give you a gift. And so he handed the pastor a signed check with no amount on it. And he said, whenever this drive stops, whatever amount remains, fill it in on that check. And everybody said, hey, that's neat. Very, very neat. And it was. Nothing wrong with it at all. But it wasn't long after this that one day a young girl that had gotten in trouble, kicked out of her house, came to the pastor and said, I don't have any place to go and I don't have any money for rent or food or anything. I need some help. And the pastor went to the same guy that was so generous to the church and told him the story. And the guy said, I don't want to have anything to do with that. She doesn't even need to be a part of our church. So somewhere we tend to put things in the wrong spots, don't we? We do have that. It's always there. That simply says that the love of Christ, which is our motivating factor here, needs to permeate everything we do. Not so I can have some recognition, not so I can have this or have that or want that, but simply as things happen, I do them because I love Christ. I serve because I want to serve Him. If that permeates all that we are, things are going to happen in days ahead, folks, that are going to bless your heart, bless our hearts. You see, Jesus said that God loves we translate it, cheerful giver, but that's not what the word really means. It's translated, God loves a hilarious giver, one who rejoices in being able to give. That means a gift that is not just what you think you might be able to handle for right now, but a gift that's over and above anything you ever thought of doing. And it doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be any one thing. It may be just your time. It may be walking into a place that you've never thought of walking into and sharing Jesus with somebody. That's the kind of gift. I used to preach on the streets when I was young. I learned better. Well, I didn't learn better. I just started to say I got smarter, but that's not true either. I just got scared of preaching on the streets is what it was. But see, that kind of an operation may be where we're called sometimes. My wife and I, in our church years ago, were in a mission to Brazil. Some of you may have heard this story. We were sent out way up near the Amazon River on the equator to do our ministry, and it was in places where dirt floors and poverty rampant everywhere. I had been raised in South Texas, so it wasn't something that I hadn't already been aware of, but nevertheless, it was a tough thing. And Doc said when we went, she said, I'm not going to go out on the streets witnessing. And I said, yeah, you are. And they had given us we had given our testimony, and they had written it down in Portuguese and put it on a CD. We carried with us a little portable record player. You've probably never heard of it, never saw one, and may never see one again. It was a piece of cardboard. That's all. Piece of cardboard with a needle in it. And it's a flat cardboard with a thing that you put your CD on. And another piece of cardboard went up here, and one that went down this way with the needle that went on the edge of the CD. And you took a pen. I don't have my pen with me, but there's a little hole in the CD, and you took a pen and ran it around, and it played. And it played loud enough that you could hear it a block away. Now, it didn't have any up or down. Whatever it was, it came out there. But it was the most ingenious thing I'd ever seen. I gave away my last one here a few years ago. But Dot took hers out there, and she went out to witness with a young lady that could not speak a word of English. Dot could not speak a word of Portuguese. They went out on the street corner and sat down all by themselves. And the girl gave her that. She played that, and Dot looked up, and there were people coming from everywhere, coming to see what the noise was all about. And they sat there while she played that thing, her testimony of what Christ had done in her life, in Portuguese. And then the girl said they want to play it again because some got there late. So she played it again. She got so excited when she got back to the hotel that night that she said, "Let me tell you what happened to me today." And from that day on, she was the most rabid soul winner I ever got hold of in my life. She wanted to go everywhere and play that thing and tell them about Jesus. Well, you don't know what you're going to do until you just turn loose and say, "Lord, here I am. Do it. Use me. Whatever it takes. Let me be a part of all of that." Because God loves that hilarious giver, that one who says, "I'm willing to do whatever it takes, ready to give whatever it takes to give, to live, to serve, to love." That's the kind of loving that counts. And that's the kind of love that's going to build this church or anybody else's church for Christ. And somewhere along the line, we're going to have to, as I said a few weeks ago, somewhere we're going to have to get a mindset that says, I'm not going to be like I was. I'm not going to be just a sitter. I'm going to be a goer. I'm going to be somebody that's available, willing to serve, because I simply love Jesus. Through him, we can go way past the idea of a Judas Iscariot who only wants things for himself. We can come to that one that emulates Jesus, who says, "I'm here to give all I've got. All I've got. Because God put me here for that." You see, he promises us a new life. He didn't have to do that, but he did. And because he did now, you and I have the chance, and we've taken it. We're living for him. But there's always another gear, folks. Another gear to shift into that puts us in a new place. I got in a Chevrolet, what's their fastest little car? Corvette, the other day. A guy was driving, and we left the front of my house, and it's about, it's a little longer than the regular block to the end of my block. And I had just started to pick up my seatbelt and click it together when he took off. I could not reach my seatbelt because I was laying back in my seat. So much so that if he had put a $100 bill up on the dashboard, I could not have reached for that $100 bill. Took off. Now we want to take off, but you see, what we really want to do is just simply smoothly serve him, gently, whatever it takes to get the job done. Whatever we need to do, if it takes us getting outside of our comfort zone, we need to say, Lord, give me a new kind of comfort zone. Let me do what I need to do where I am now. We've got an opportunity now to do something this church needs, well, every church needs, but this church is the only one I'm concerned about right now. To do something we need very badly, and that is to come back with a spirit of awakening that says, Lord, here am I. Send me, use me, do with me whatever it is, whatever it takes. Because you see, that's the kind of love that's going to count. Always. So I say to us, every one of us now, me included more than you, I want that kind of love. I want that kind of love that helps me out of my start to say scared zone, but that's probably a good word too, because we don't often get outside of what we're comfortable with. Let's pledge to ourselves that whatever comes, I'm going to try my best to let God lead and do his will, comfortable or not. Whether I really feel that this is where I ought to be or not. If the impulse is there and God's Spirit leads, let's be the church that reach out to our communities and do the thing that needs to be done. Let's grow a church again. What do you think? We can do it. Amen. It can be done. We've got a new pastor. We've got a new spirit. Let's prove how big that love of Christ is in our hearts and lives. Let's pray about it, okay? Father, we ask you to take us now. Whatever there is to us, make it bigger. Whatever there needs to be in us, give us more. Whatever we need to say, give us a voice that says it unmistakably for you. We thank you for our new pastor, for our church, for every member of it, and for each victory we have. We're looking for great things to happen. May they happen through us and in us as we serve you. In Jesus we pray. Amen. Amen. Thanks for being here tonight.